The Silver Surfer made an immediate, massive impact on Marvel Snap with its introduction, and while there are many great combinations for the Herald of Galactus, none is more versatile, more dangerous, and better at gaining cubes than Sera-Surfer. Sera reducing the cost overall of cards by 1, and of course Silver Surfer adding 3 power to every one of your 3-cost cards. Hi, I'm Rich Slayton, and this is an in-depth guide to one of the best decks, if not the best overall combination in Marvel Snap. Now, in this video, we're going to go through a few different stages, and you can look in the notes below and follow chapter by chapter and go where you want to go. First up, we're going to do a deck breakdown going through each card and its purpose in the deck. Then we'll go into strategy, talking about some of the most important things you can do to keep in mind to win games, including some of your best lines. Then from there, we'll go into card swaps, since there are 4 cards from Series 3 in this deck. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and do some live gameplay. Let's jump right into the deck itself, and of course, to start things off with Sera-Surfer, the 2 cards that make this deck, you can't swap them out, they're the keys. First is Sera, your turn 5 play, who makes the cards in your hand cost 1 less. Now, you can win games if you don't draw her, more on that when we get into strategy, but she is a key piece of this deck and a big way that you're going to be able to snap and get lots more cubes and surprise players on turn number 6. And then, of course, your general turn 6 play, the Silver Surfer, adding 3 power to all your 3-cost cards. You'll see a lot of 3-cost cards in this deck, and the ability to, with Sera, play 2 of those 3-cost cards and then Silver Surfer on turn 6. You can do massive, massive power on turn 6, surprise your opponents, and get those big wins. With those 2 cards out of the way, let's talk about the rest of the core of this deck. 7 of the cards in this deck are from Series 2. You're guaranteed to have them once you get past the mid-400s in your collection level. And most of these are in here just for being good cards that disrupt your opponent's play. So we start with Iceman, your only 1-cost card in the deck. This, of course, adding 1 cost to a random card in your opponent's hand. Just annoying and can disrupt their rhythms. After that, you have Scorpion, another, maybe one of the best 2-cost cards in the game. You throw this down on turn 2. You can also do it late game as well. And we'll talk more about some of those late game plays, but you throw this down, takes power off of every single card in your opponent's hand. Very annoying to deal with. Your third card here from the just good cards section, it's Armor. And this is really great for disrupting your opponents when they're trying to play destruction decks. You see your opponent drop Bucky Barnes into a lane, you know they want a Carnage on top of that or Venom on top of that. Put Armor in that lane. Don't let Bucky get turned into that guy with the big ol' nasty arm into the Winter Soldier, and you can disrupt their gameplay a whole lot. Next up, and this is a flex card, and we'll talk about some replacements that you might want to play for this one, is Lizard. 2 cost for 5 power, and Lizard can be a big card for managing turn priority early. More on that when we get to strategy. You might replace this one with other options, but Lizard is one you're guaranteed to have that can be a big impact, especially as you measure the pace of the mid-game. Now we get into the 3-cost cards, which are really the bread and butter of this deck overall. First, we go to Rogue, and Rogue is a substitution that I made in this one, and we'll talk about some swaps for her, as she is a Series 3 card. Rogue is great for disrupting those ongoing players, right? You're playing someone who's playing a Patriot deck, go ahead and steal Patriot's ability, put it on your side. There's some synergy there when we talk about Brood coming up next. You see someone who's running Wong, you can steal Wong's ability, give yourself some more double on reveal to pop your Silver Surfer, and of course, stop that big Wong turn 5, turn 6 play. So Rogue's a great piece of tech in your deck. Followed by, as mentioned, maybe the most important 3-cost card in the game, aside from Silver Surfer, Brood. Brood makes 2 copies of himself on that same location at the same power. Brood can be really, really impactful, especially if you save Brood to turn 6 and you drop Brood plus Silver Surfer, or if you have Sera down, something else, Brood and Silver Surfer. Tons of points. Brood already gives you 6 points on a location. You add in Silver Surfer, that's a guaranteed 9 more points. That's a 15-point drop on one location. Really great stuff. Brood we'll talk about more later, but is one of the most important 3-cost cards for you. Next up, Mr. Fantastic, who's just a good card. Mr. Fantastic gives you, if played in the middle, 6 guaranteed points on the board, or on the side, 4 guaranteed points. Plus, the buff from Silver Surfer makes him even more dangerous. After that, Cosmo, a key piece of tech in your deck, one of the best cards in the game. Cosmo shutting down on reveal plays, another way for you to deal with a Wong deck. for example. Another way for you to shut down Ultron as well. Lots of big on-reveal plays can be completely destroyed. Discard decks, you see someone drop down Lockjaw, throw Cosmo in that lane. Now that Lockjaw churn for discard is totally destroyed. After Cosmo, we have another piece of technology for us, another tech card in Killmonger. We'll talk about Killmonger in the strategy section, but Killmonger to wipe off 1-cost cards. This is great for playing against Zoo decks, right? Khazar, especially Kazabu right now with the introduction of Zabu, getting 1-cost cards wiped off the board, or countering Ultron on that final play of the game. Killmonger is a really important card to decide when to play. We'll talk about that in strategy. And then finally, your last 3-cost card, Maximus. And this is just a good play to put 7 and then ultimately 10 on the board with Silver-Surfer. Maximus, 3-cost for 7. Really great to play him on the last turn if possible, but can also be good for managing turn priority earlier. So that's a look overall at the cards in this deck. Some of you might be going, hey, I don't have all of those, especially the Series 3 cards. Well, we'll talk about those when we get into the section of swaps. And of course, you can navigate there right now if you want to. Next, let's talk strategy, and navigating this deck is really important. This is not a deck that you can just throw cards down and play the same way every time. Your strategy might have certain notes you're going for consistently, but you're going to have to vary things up game by game. The most optimum line you're going to get in this game is you get Iceman turn number 1, you play one of your 2-cost cards, often Scorpion on turn number 2. Turn 3, you play Mr. Fantastic in the middle, get that guaranteed 6. And then turn 4, you can drop 2 of your 2-cost cards if you didn't have them, or you can drop one of your other 3-cost cards. You can either counter someone with Rogue, counter someone with Cosmo. If you don't need to save Killmonger for the last turn, you drop Killmonger. Turn 5, you get Sera. And then turn 6, because of Sera reducing the cost of your cards, you're able to drop something like the best combination, Maximus in one lane, Brood in another, and then dropping Silver-Surfer for a guaranteed 10 points in one lane with Maximus and 15 in another with Brood, or pile them all in one spot depending on the matchup you're going for. That's your optimum line. It might not always happen. You might not draw Sera at some point, which then on turn 5, instead of dropping Sera, you're hoping to do a 3-cost card along with one of your 2-cost cards for some more points. Or even just a 3-cost card can be okay. 2 2s could be fine as well. And then on turn 6, you're still hoping for either Maximus along with your Silver-Surfer or for Brood with your Silver-Surfer, right? That's what you're hoping for if you don't get Sera for turn 5. Other things might happen, though, and that's what these next 3 strategy notes are all about. This is adjustments to make. So 3 key factors, 3 key things to keep in mind when playing this deck. Number 1, identifying your opponent's deck early is really, really important. It's always a good skill to identify your opponent's deck, but with this deck in particular, you need to know early because it dictates how you use your tech cards. Do you know that you're up against potentially a deck that's going to be playing lots of 1-cost cards? Are you looking like you're going to be... Do you see Patriot out there? Do you see... Did someone play Squirrel Girl? Is Khazar out there? Keep an eye out. I don't like to play Killmonger until turn 4 or later so that I actually know what I'm going to be up against and if I need to save Killmonger to surprise them on turn 6. I love... Killmonger on turn 6 is phenomenal, especially against Ultron and other Zoo decks, right? Do I see that they're building for something that has lots of ongoing, and I want to steal with Rogue, right? That's a key one, identifying that early. Are they playing discard? If that's the case, then I want to wait until I see where they're going to put Lockjaw and then try to hit them with Cosmo and shut down that lane, right? So these are all different important things to identify early because they lead into the next most important thing, and that's managing turn priority. Some decks don't care about this as much, but since this deck plays so many cards that are counter cards, that are cards that are trying to shut down your opponent with Rogue, with Cosmo, and with Killmonger, you want to identify, after you identify early, managing turn priority, because that affects how you're going to react. Turn priority is established by who is leading first, if you don't know that already. So on a given turn, whoever's currently in the lead, they reveal their cards before the opponent reveals their cards. So if you are trying to use Cosmo to counter what you anticipate to be an on-reveal play on a given turn, you have to have turn priority. If you're on turn 6 and you're trying to counter someone's Odin on top of a White Tiger on top of a Wong, if they reveal first, your Cosmo won't counter. So understanding and managing turn priority so that you actually have the response that you want. Rogue has to go second to steal ongoing from a card that comes on at a given moment. You can play her on a card that's already on the board, obviously, but if you're trying to predict and steal, you need to have them have turn priority rather than you. Killmonger, another one. If you are trying to counter Ultron on turn 6, if you know they're going to play Ultron on turn 6, unless you want them to have turn priority so that they can pop the Ultron, fill it with those little 1-cost cards, and then you wipe it off with Killmonger. And these are the ways in which you maximize your cubes, is by maximizing how you use turn priority, so you can snap on turns 4 and 5 rather than 6, know you have a trap laid for them, and you can capitalize on that. Finally, and it's part of that same conversation of strategy, don't waste your tech cards. Cosmo, Killmonger, and Rogue are all extremely impactful, and I'm not playing them on the board just for points. Unless I know I'm not going to need them because I've identified what's going on with the deck, I don't play them just for points. I play them for purpose, to disrupt my opponent's deck. One final note, on your last turn, if you are going to go for a play to shut down and pop Sera-Surfer, make sure that you always drop, if you're dropping in the same lane, that you drop Sera-Surfer before Cosmo. Cards reveal in the order that they are played. If you play Cosmo into a lane and then play Sera-Surfer accidentally because you're trying to counter someone's on reveal and get the buff, Sera-Surfer won't go because of Cosmo. So make sure that if you are doing that in one lane, that Sera-Surfer goes before Cosmo. Those are all your major strategy notes. Now let's talk about swaps. So, as I mentioned before, this deck has 7 cards that are from pools or Series 2 and 1 in your introductory series, which means that by the time you're watching this video, you've probably gone up through that mid 400 range on collection level. These are cards you're guaranteed to have. Those 7 cards. There is one card that you could swap out there in terms of Lizard, and we'll talk about some of that in a minute. But the real meat here is your Series 3 cards. Now, some Series 3 cards that you can't swap. Number 1 of those is going to be Sera. This deck is a Sera-Surfer deck. You can play Silver-Surfer decks without Sera, like Mr. Negative and Silver-Surfer. But for this deck, this is a Sera-Surfer deck. She's key for this whole concept to work. Of course, the other Series 3 card that I think is kind of necessary is Brood. Brood and Silver-Surfer together. Again, that's 15 points you can drop on one location on one turn, on turn 6. That combination is one of the big ways you're going to get those big 4 and 8 cube wins, is by that combination. So I think Brood is pretty necessary overall for this deck of your 3 cost. By the way, if you don't have Silver-Surfer, this deck doesn't work, obviously, and Silver-Surfer now is Series 5 after having been in the Season Pass. So, a key point. But there are 2 other cards that are Series 3 cards that you can cut out, and that's Rogue and Maximus. Those are 2 cards that you can swap out. And we'll also talk about Lizard a little bit too. So let's first talk about Maximus, who's in here because he's a really high output for just 3 costs, right? And he's a great turn 6 play. That combination of playing 3 3-cost cards, because they only cost 2 now, of Maximus, Brood, and then Silver-Surfer, you put so many points on the board late. But if you don't have Maximus, here are a couple of really nice swaps for it. The more common variations of this deck actually run Polaris, as opposed, let me go ahead and find Polaris here. I have my unowned, so where the heck is Polaris? I don't actually own Polaris. There we go. Have Polaris. This is a more common option. Actually, and Polaris is usually in here instead of Lizard in more decks that want more 3-cost cards. So you can swap her in for Lizard, but if you're trying to swap her in find a swap for Maximus, she can go there too. She's a good little piece of tech, disrupting your opponent's playstyle and gameplay, and she's a 3 for 5 that has that disruption. So that's pretty nice. There are a couple of swaps that are good for with Maximus because of the balance changes. Black Cat is getting a buff in our next balance changes from what it's been from the rumors so far, going from a 3/6 to a 3/7. So the same power as Maximus. The only impact is you have to play her once you draw her. But as long as you get her on turn 3, turn 4, or turn 6, you're in great shape. If you get her on turn 5, assuming you're playing Sera, she's a loss. And if you get her on turn 1 or 2, you can't play her. But on turn 3, 4, or 6, she's a total win. And on turn 5, if you don't have Sera, she's a total win. So she can be a good one there. And because you have so many other cards that you want to get on board, she'll be a nice impact that also doesn't give that 2 draw to your opponent. Another one that's really good here, potentially with a buff coming in, is Groot. The devs are changing Groot to be from 3/3 with a +3 bonus to a 3-4 with a +2 bonus. So some more guaranteed points on the board, and very likely if you play it smart that you'll get that to be the plus a 3-6 rather than a 3-4. So Groot can be good there. Let's talk about Rogue and replacing Rogue, your last of the Series 3 cards. The most obvious swap is kind of a weird one, and that's Enchantress, who is a 4-cost rather than a 3-cost. Let's go take a look at Enchantress. She's a 4-cost rather than 3-cost, but she removes all ongoing abilities, so you can shut down multiple abilities in one lane. And the Enchantress at 4-4 will be your only 4-cost card, right? So that's a good card to play on that curve. Plus the fact that Enchantress, Enchantress is she has 4 power, which is the same as Rogue plus Silver Surfer buff. I don't like Enchantress here a ton because not being a 3-cost card means you can't really play her effectively on turn 6, and that I think is a real negative for her, not being able to play her properly on turn 6 to counter Patriot to counter Blue Marvel, things like that. And she also turns off your own, she gets rid of your own ongoing effects. So I don't love Enchantress here. I think that let's go back, let's clear that and clear that. I think some of the better swaps when you're talking about trying to swap out for Rogue, one of the first ones is going to be Bishop, which is actually very common overall in this deck. The more common version of this deck runs Bishop instead of Lizard, actually. So Bishop is a very common 3-cost card, and with Bishop, if you play Bishop on turn 3, then you, of course, get +1 or 2 more on turn 4 when you play either a single 3 or a 2-drop or 2 2-drops, right? So you're up to a power 2 or power 3. On turn 5, you drop Sera up to power 3 or power 4, and then on turn 6, you drop 3 more. This can get into the power 6, power 7 range. So Bishop can do a lot of damage overall on the board. Another one that's going to be interesting to watch on when we get into our next balance update is maybe one of the big winners of the Balance Olympics, and that's Nakia. Nakia is being changed from a 3-1 to a 3-2, which makes her just a little bit stronger on the board, and that +2 to the leftmost cards in your deck. Well, if you get Brood early and then you're playing cards to the left of Brood and can move Brood into one of those 2 leftmost spots in your hand, before you play Nakia, and then you can play Nakia on turn 3, turn 4, or if you don't have Sera on turn 5, you can buff Brood from a 3-2 to a 3-4, and now you have a guaranteed 12 just from dropping Brood, plus the 9 on top of that. Now it's 21 points rather than 15 points. Nakia is definitely one to watch, in my opinion. You can also swap in any of those Series 3 cards for Lizard. That can be a good change for you as well, to get one more, or not seriously, one of those 3-cost cards. You can put a 3-cost card in for Lizard in order to have one more card that gets the buff from Silver Surfer at the end. But Lizard is, of course, a Series 2 card, or an early Series card, so you're not worried about trying to find a replacement, you just might want to have a replacement. The last 2 replacements you can do, either for Lizard or for Rogue, are 2 cards that are both about managing a location. Storm. If you have a location you don't like on the board, Storm can change that location, and then next turn you drop either your Maximus or something big in that same location, or you even drop Swarm in that location. You can lock down a location and then smash it even further on turn 6 with Silver Surfer. So Storm's good for that, as well as our friend, where you at? Rhino. Rhino's also good for that as well. And both of these cards are really great if there's an ongoing event that has a location that spawns more commonly that you hate, that's really messing up your rhythm. So, for example, right now, the Luke's Bar is in there, which, of course, kicks you out when you play a card. You can play there with Brood and leave the 2 Broodlings there when Brood's kicked out, but you might want to change that location. Those 2 cards can do it. So if you have a location that's the feature location that's messing you up, consider swapping Rhino or Storm in for either one of the Series 3 cards you don't have or for Lizard to get more control of the board. That's it for our breakdown of this deck. I hope you really enjoyed it. Next up, some gameplay for you to watch, some from the last stream I did with this deck. And if you have other decks you want me to get into, go ahead and leave a comment below, and I'll take a look at a deck that you're really enjoying. We can break that down piece by piece, talk strategy, and cover it here. All right, on to gameplay. Enjoy. I really hope they had a friend mode, maybe competitive mode. Yes, they are, well, in the next patch, there's supposed to be a friendly battle mode. The question that I have is there going to be spectators, right? Can I watch a friendly battle in order to do, like, esports for it, competitive for it. Because that's my jam, obviously. Cards that cost 1, 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. Actually, want to wait on. I'm going to wait on this location. So our hope is going to be that we pull Sera and play her here. That's our hope, is we play Sera here on Crimson. Oh, please give me yes, golden. And we are actually, normally I would play Brood here, but instead we're actually going to go Mr. Fantastic and then Maximus. That's the plan. If I get Silver Surfer in my hand, I'm going to snap. Ooh, but he's playing Silver Surfer too, probably. This gets interesting. So this is going to be really about maintaining turn priority. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to change up the game plan here. We're going to go Brood in the middle. And we're going to play Maximus out here to try to maintain turn priority. Yeah, I'm going to snap here. But what we're going to do is we're going to try to maintain turn priority because I need my Cosmo, which I'm going to put in here. I'm going to sacrifice a little bit of points here to kill his Silver Surfer, which he's going to do there. My suspicion is he puts Silver Surfer in here to go at the end of the game, because that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to go... Oh, I should have gone backwards. I should have gone Maximus, Surfer. This is interesting. No, I wanted turn priority. Okay. So... do we try to block his Surfer, or do we try to go for points here? I think we try to block his Surfer. So we're going to go Silver Surfer under, and then we're going to go Cosmo here. We're going to try to block his Silver Surfer play on turn 6. I can't steal Sera on the left because I can't play cards that cost 1, 2, or 3. Otherwise, I would have played Rogue there already. So he tries to block. He tries to block me here. Nice. Oh, that's brilliant. Cool, now let's play these for the points. And then we end. I'll give him a thumbs up, and then we'll see what happens. I think that he plays Silver Surfer under... I think he plays Silver Surfer under here. I already snapped. Okay, so now I reveal these first. I surf. And then I Cosmo and I shut down his Silver Surfer. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Polaris does nothing. Silver Surfer does nothing. Let's go. That was the play. That was the play right there. That was the play right there. Leader is the most annoying card in the game. It's so stupid. You can basically just like throw him on the back end of a million decks. Why is this a useless ass Nightbot pit comment? Unpin this message. Why is that what's pinned? Oh, this is nice. I don't want to be drawing Vibranium. Alright, we'll do this. Alright. And then we'll play Mr. Fantastic here later. Oh, Hippie one, you're playing. Cool. Deleted that because it was too nasty. It's just a weird way to play the game. Kingpin, fascinating. $10 says that he has Magneto. Now, I think the play is actually... I'm going to still try to play on Vibranium late. I think the play is actually going to be play Scorpion here and put one more 3 cost in the middle. Just for that extra boost. Your main is Dino Draw. Nice. I want to play Dino, but I don't have... I'm still waiting for Daredevil. I think we're going to steal that. I think we're going to steal Captain America's ability. If I actually get it. Okay, so... We're going to play... On turn 5, we'll play Cosmo here, unless we keep priority. Unless we think we're going to keep priority, then we'll play on turn 6. We'll play Cosmo there. So for now, let's play Killmonger over here. I can slow play this now because I can slowly play this now. Storm. Okay. Please give me Rogue this turn. Please give me Rogue this turn. Yes. All right. This ruins his day. So we'll play Rogue here, and then we're not going to play Cosmo. We're going to wait. So we're going to steal his cap ability. Brilliant. Do I snap here? I don't have Surfer, so I can't snap yet. But I think I just won this lane. And you played Cosmo, but that's so right there. Try if you're still here. That was turn priority. He played Cosmo, but did not shut down my Rogue. Yeah, no. Well, Cosmo middle already. Yeah, I mean, he can do whatever he wants. But now, so I had turn priority, which meant that I beat out his Cosmo, and now I'm going to beat him with my Cosmo, and then we'll just go here and try to win left. So I think we're gonna win 3. He should play Mag here, and then we win here. So, and now here's what we're gonna do. Now we're gonna wait, because I'm pretty sure. I'd say this is like 65-35 that I win this right now. 60-40 maybe, but we're gonna wait, and we're gonna snap near the end, and then put pressure on him for decision. If I had Silver Surfer instead of armor, I'd feel so much more confident. I don't know. Snap or no snap? What do we do? Are we doing it? Are we doing it? 3, 2, 1. Let's live for the moment. Let's live for the moment. Boom. End turn. Bring it on. Bring it on. I've got you shut down in the middle. I've got you shut down in the middle. So not Magneto. Polaris in the middle? What are you playing in the middle? What are you playing in the middle that you're playing on top of a Kingpin? You play Magneto... No, Juggernaut. That doesn't win you the spot, though. And then Silver Surfer gets shut down. Brilliant. 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 Brilliant! Keep it up. I want to win a real game. I want to real no more. I want my treats. I want to win some cubes. I want to take from cubes from these guys. We'll just give a little extra boost on this side. I just want to make sure you have 4 cards here. And again, it's a question of do we brood early? I have Surfer, so I actually know that I can add 12 to that, or I can add 9 to that. I have Surfer, so I know I can add 9 to that. I can play Sera, so this is gonna be a nice position for us. It might be exposing my hand too early. He might retreat once again. We have a good chance of... We're going to hold off on Rogue. God, I want to save Killmonger. I don't think he's playing any... I don't think he's playing a lot of one-cost cards, though. Let's just play some Killmonger. Because he'll be a 6 at the end of the game. What a weird choice to just play her there. Alright, then we'll put Sera here. And then here we go. So we're going to Rogue to kill his... Yeah, this is beautiful. Because we have turn priority too, so we can't even stop it. We're going to Rogue to kill his Dino. Then we're going to Mr. Fantastic and put a little points on both sides. Then we'll Silver Surfer over here. We have turn priority, right? Which means he can't stop me from killing his Devil Dinosaur, and he can't stop me from Silver Surfering. And I'm going to get +2 over here. So this is pretty much a guaranteed win. We're going to sit on it, let it bake for a minute, let him think. Maybe he snaps? The only way we lose is if he's playing Arnim Zola, which would make no sense. But even then, we're gonna kill his dino before he can Arnim Zola it, because we have turn priority. Maybe the most important conversation in this game that people need to be having. Let's snap. And let's hope he let's hope he takes the bait. He does. Bye-bye to your Devil Dino. Bye-bye. Do you have Leader? Leader's the only chance you have at a win here. Even then, I think you still lose, because I'm still so far ahead. Thor. Get. Thank you for taking the bait and letting your Devil Dinosaur get wrecked. Get wrecked, Devil Dinosaur. That's it. That's it. Mwah. Good night.